Hey YouTubers, welcome back to How We Make Reality Work. My name is Jessica and today I am going to be making a birthday cake for Brett. Today's his birthday. It is, I don't know what time it is. It's 8:15 in the morning. We all went to bed late last night. Everyone's still sleeping except for me. I'm going to be making a cake from addapinch.com. I've never made this recipe before, so let's see how this works. But first, coffee. Alright, so we're waiting for the coffee to finish brewing. I like to start by getting all of my ingredients out and within hand's reach. I like to have a bowl for wet ingredients and one for dry ingredients. Actually, it'll probably be reversed because this is smaller. Oh, see, I also get a measuring cups and spoons out too. So this recipe calls for 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of sugar, 3/4 of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. It's a chocolate cake. 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of espresso powder. I don't have espresso powder, so I'm gonna try ground coffee and see how it goes. 1 cup of milk. And it says that you can use buttermilk, almond milk, or coconut milk. So I'm using almond milk. Brett has a dairy allergy. Let's see, so 1/2 cup of vegetable oil or canola oil or melted coconut oil. So I am using canola oil. 2 large eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 1 cup of boiling water. And we are using farm fresh eggs from our chickens in the backyard. So let's get started with measuring our dry ingredients. So cups of flour. So there's 1 cup. Just making sure it's a cup. 2 cups of flour. Done. And now we're gonna measure 2 cups of sugar, 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder. So this is what I bought for cocoa powder. Alright, that's 3/4 of a cup. Coffee's done, so we're gonna pause a minute and go pour a cup. Okay, so we left off with putting our cocoa powder in. Now we need 2 teaspoons of baking soda. That was our baking soda, salt, and I don't have espresso powder, so I use ground coffee, and we're just gonna see how that goes. Okay, so the recipe does call for 1 cup of boiling water, so I have my kettle on. In the meantime, before we start putting our wet ingredients into our dish, we're gonna mix through the dry ingredients. Try to make sure we get them really good. Smells amazing. Yeah, I think it's well mixed. Okay, now for the wet ingredients. I'm going to put my dry ingredients aside. For the wet ingredients, we need 1 cup of milk and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I put it in with my milk. So we're just gonna pour that in. I'm gonna use this to measure my 1 cup of boiling water in just a minute. And then it calls for 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, but we used canola, and the recipe says you can do that. We also need 2 large eggs, and we're using our farm fresh eggs. 1, 2, so you need to mix the wet ingredients together really well. The boiling water comes in after, okay? So first you mix your wet ingredients. All right, now we have our dry and our wet. Okay, so the recipe says to mix the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients on a medium speed with your mixer. I have a hand mixer. A medium speed until well combined. Then we're going to reduce the speed and add our cup of boiling water to the batter until it's well combined. All right, let's see how this goes. All right, so our wet into dry. Oops. I think it boiled. All right, so let me tell you what just happened. My kettle started to boil over, which I've never seen happen before, but this is the first time for everything. So I cleaned it up and I measured out a cup of boiling water. Kept separately until we mix our wet into dry ingredients. So let's check this out. Okay, let's finish pouring our wet ingredients into the dry. I like to take a spatula and just make sure I got everything. You want all the goods. Stick those right in the sink. And then it says to do this on a medium heat. Laugh out loud. That's hilarious. I don't know how that just happened. Hold on. Take 2. They're in there now. Okay, medium heat until well combined. I mean medium speed. Oh Lord, it's too early. Check this out and make sure that we got everything. I'm just going to take my spatula that I had earlier and just make sure there's no dry stuck to the bottom. Now the recipe did say that when you add the boiling water, you do get a thin consistency, but that is what it is normal. One more mix around, and we're going to turn this down to medium speed, and we're going to slowly add our boiling water. Okay, so the recipe says to make sure that your oven's preheated to 350, which I've had on since this morning, and it says that you need 2 9-inch cake pans and to spray them with baking spray. But I'm not going to do that because I don't have 2 9-inch baking pans, but I do have a 13 by 9. So I'm going to bake it in that, and I almost always line my baking dishes with parchment paper. So I have my glass pan, dish. And take a stick of butter. I actually learned this trick from baking shows and I love it. It's become my new friend. It makes dishes a lot easier. So you just take and you kind of like zigzag around. Done. parchment paper can go into the oven for up to 400 degrees. Make sure you read your packaging. They might all be different, but this one is up to 400 degrees. So what the butter does is it helps it to stick to the side, so your paper doesn't move, and it would look like this. So now we're gonna pour our batter into our dish. And you can see the consistency is quite thin, and the recipe says that it's normal. And I have to remember that because I'm not using the baking dishes that they say, that it could take longer or it might not take as long. So just something to remember. I always take a spatula and scrape my dishes down. And remember, this is my first time baking this recipe. So now our cake is ready to go in the oven. Make sure it's set to 350 for, let's see, how long does it say? Says bake for 30 minutes until a toothpick or cake tester inserted in the center of the chocolate cake comes out clean. So I'm going to put this on for 25 minutes and then check it, and we'll be back to show you what that looks like. All right, so the timer went off for our cake. Let's check it. Oh, it's definitely not done. Okay, y'all, this is our chocolate cake. You want to take a toothpick and stick it in the center. If it comes out clean, it is done, and she is done. I'm going to actually put her on a cooling rack. So that's one of the good things about the paper, is that I can just lift it right up. Ooh. Let's see. This is tricky. See how that came right off? Right up. And now she can cool. Okay, so now we're gonna make our topping for our chocolate cake that we made. And it is a mixture of berries. You can do whatever berries you'd like. Today I'm doing blueberries and strawberries. And you need sugar, and that's it. So you cut up your strawberries, put your blueberries in the pan. You're gonna wanna put this on a medium heat. And we're gonna just take sugar, oops, and sprinkle it over the top. I'm literally just taking handfuls. So I would say 2 handfuls of sugar should be plenty. And what this does is it pulls the natural sweetness and juices out of the fruit, and it gives you this delicious, I don't want to say syrup, but this delicious glaze that goes right over the chocolate cake, and it's amazing. So we're just gonna let this do its thing. So as you can see, it's already starting to get a little juicy. Let's see. See? Now after a few minutes of leaving the heat on medium, you can see we're getting our juices from our fruit.